Oh, yeah. I don't wanna be a safe bet, don't wanna be a plan B. Wanna be a top choice, not your top three. I'm so done, I'm so done.
I'm Andrea Askowitz.
I'm Allison Langer, and this is Writing Class Radio. You'll hear true personal stories and learn how to write your own stories. Together, we produce this podcast, which is equal parts heart and art. By heart, we mean the truth in a story. By art, we mean the craft of writing. No matter what's going on in our lives, Writing Class is where we tell the truth. It's where we work out our shit. There's no place in the world like Writing Class, and we want to bring you in.
Today on our show, we bring you a story by Jasmine Anenberg that was originally performed on stage at the Flagstaff Festival of Science in October 2023. Like episode 174 and 175, or like we talked about on episode 174 and 175, this was a collaboration with ECOSS, the Center for Ecosystem Science and Society at Northern Arizona University, and Story Collider, a podcast that airs true science stories. We talked about this in those past two episodes, and we'll talk about it again whenever we bring up a science story from this event. But we want to tell you that it was an amazing, so much fun collaboration that started with Dr. Jane Marks and Dr. Bruce Hungate, who have been students of ours for the last few years. And they had this great idea. What they wanted to do was get their students to personalize their science stories so that they could better reach non-scientists and just everybody and scientists and the world.
Yeah, it started with them, actually. They wanted to personalize their own stories because they were feeling like they wanted a bigger reach, more people to understand what they were doing in a bigger way, so that, you know, how they're saving the earth needs to happen with more people understanding what's going on and how to fix it.
I just feel super, super, super honored to be part of this process, to be part of this process of helping people personalize their science stories and getting them out to the world in a bigger way so that we can save the earth.
Yeah, big time. I know.
Love this gig.
You're going to hear one of them today by Jasmine Anenberg, who's a PhD student over there at NAU. Her story is about connecting the dots. It's also about slowing down the moment, both in writing and in delivery. So the narrator will show us how. So just listen to her story and learn from the master. Back with Jasmine's story after the break.
We're back. This is Andrea Askowitz, and you're listening to Writing Class Radio. Up next is Jasmine Anenberg telling her story, Dirt Church.
I'm in Montana. When you think about Montana, what do you see? Maybe some bald eagles flying overhead, grizzlies romping through the forest, rivers rushing. This is a majestic landscape. And when I tell people that I do science in Montana, they get excited. But what does that really look like? I'm a soil restoration scientist. That's a double whammy for unglamorous work. I look at uncharismatic and unhealthy dirt. When I'm at my field site, I'm on my knees and I'm hunched over in the most uncomfortable position, and I'm trying to see these tiny, dusty, dried up mosses that are on top of the soil. They're so small that they're almost invisible. And my nose is pressed so closely that it's in the dirt. I'm sweating so profusely that I feel like I should probably note it on the data sheet just in case. And my allergies are getting so bad from all of the plants around me that I start sneezing uncontrollably and then bleeding out of both of my nostrils. I'm sore everywhere, and I start to worry that I'm going to get early arthritis. Sounds miserable, right? But the truth is, I would rather be there so much more than on campus. On campus, the stress of needing to sound smart and driven and be good at data analysis is exhausting. I feel so alien here sometimes, and I never really thought of myself as an academic, and I definitely never thought I would find myself in a PhD program. But out in the field, I can forget about all of this. I'm back at my plot, and it's getting late in the day, so I pick up my phone to check the time, and I'm surprised to see a missed call from a friend back home. It's not someone who usually calls. And then a voicemail pops up. And then I start to see this flood of text messages and more calls. And I'm trying to unlock my phone, but my hands are so dirty that I can't do it. And I'm panicking. Finally, I get my phone open and I see the first text. It reads, "I have some bad news. Adrian overdosed. He's dead." I start to scream. The sun is coming down on me harshly, and I look up at the sun for some sort of answer, but I'm blinded, and all the color drains from the landscape. The beautiful birds that I was hearing only moments ago are gone now, and they're replaced by the incessant buzzing of mosquitoes. Let me tell you about Adrian. Adrian and I bonded over grunge rock and getting high behind dumpsters. There wasn't much else to do when you're 14 in the suburbs of San Jose. All through high school, I would go to his house to watch him paint. I always praised him, but I was secretly so jealous of his natural talent. He had this way of seeing these ordinary details and making them beautiful somehow. Adrian rolled the most perfect joints you've ever seen in your life. He painted portraits of me. He made me feel seen. Sometimes he would show up to parties and he would dramatically unzip his jacket and open it, and a pile of meats would fall out that he had shoplifted from the grocery store, and we would grill them for all of our friends. Once in our mid-20s, I was too hungover to move from the couch, and I watched him make me a single fried egg. I watched as this enormous Filipino man in pinstriped train conductor overalls and these stupid hipster tortoiseshell glasses towering over this tiny onion and sculpting it into perfect slivers. He would throw it into the pan, and I started smelling spices I couldn't really pick out. When he brought the plate out to me, the onions were placed so intentionally and carefully over the egg that it looked like fine art. Eggs aren't special to me. I eat them every day, but this was the best egg I've ever had. I resent him for dying. He saw the world in a way I thought I never would. His dreams were so much bigger than mine. He had so much to contribute. This could have easily happened to me, and sometimes I wish that it had. But I chose to abandon home and do this weird science. So here I am, back at my field site, at my plot. I'm the only person in this huge field. And once again, I'm hunched over and I'm trying to see these extremely small and dried up shriveled mosses. My nose is in the dirt and my butt is up in the air, and I can't help but laugh at how insane I must look. I forgot my line. I can't help but laugh at how insane I must look. I must be the only person in history who has ever looked at this one piece of moss. They're such strange and seemingly inconsequential organisms. And then I remember Adrian and the egg. And I realize I wasn't jealous of his talent and his intellect and his technique. It was his ability to see beauty in the mundane. And suddenly, I realize I see this way too. Most people walk by these mosses without even noticing them. But to me, these mosses are like our elders. They're some of the oldest organisms on Earth. They're certainly older than most of the plants around us. The fact that they're still alive and haven't gone extinct is a testament to their resilience. These mosses perform miracles. During drought periods, they can dry down completely and be dormant for months to even years. And then when the rain finally does come, they wake up immediately with this greenness and get right to work. That's a superpower that most plants do not have. I'm realizing now that my attention to these mosses makes them beautiful. This is the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. Adrian taught me to see the ordinary, to focus on the ordinary, to make it beautiful. And I see it right here in the dirt. Thank you.
Wow. You know, what's funny is that I've heard this a couple times. I've heard it out loud. I've heard it in practice. And I know I say this about all the stories, but like now when I was listening, I was kind of taking notes and I was finding like, where's this going? What's the story going to be like? How's she going to bring it back together and stuff like that? And it was so cool when she gets to the end and we see that she finds purpose through in her pain, like with seeing the beauty in the dirt and how he saw the beauty in the egg and he saw the beauty in this. But also there's something I realized, I don't know, did you see this? That when she was describing the moss, I felt like she was describing herself, that she's resilient. She can perform miracles and she can lay dormant for months or years and still survive. Not only is she seeing the beauty in it, but she's seeing herself in the moss.
I didn't hear it that way, but it's such a cool way to hear it. I love that. So I feel like what she did was she drove home the point that what she really learned from Adrian is how to see the beauty in the mundane. But I think you're right. Like, and every story is like this. There are so many like little nuggets that could become like the main nugget. And I don't think she was aiming at herself being resilient the way these mosses are, but she could have written this whole story that way. Because you're right.
I just don't even think she's thinking of it like that. I think it's just, there might be like a subliminal way of attaching herself to this plant, this organism.
And maybe that's why she's attracted to it.
Yeah. I wonder.
Because we're all attracted to ourselves.
I think we're always trying to figure ourselves out.
Yeah.
And maybe she's like, why didn't I go the way of Adrian? Because she kind of did say like, that could have been me. And I mean, really, that could be any of us because life is fucking hard. So many times it gets us low. What causes us to come back or see around the corner or like, and I feel like this person, this narrator she's seeing it. She's like going through a lot of shit, but somehow she found her strength in this moss.
One thing I noticed this time when I was listening is the voice of the narrator and her performance voice, which I thought was so freaking cool. And I think it's worth noting that from the beginning, she was speaking right to the audience. Like she's like, well, let me tell you about Adrian. And she did that, which is sort of like she sort of broke form.
I resent him for dying, she says.
But that's different than telling us, the audience.
Oh, right. Using that, like, let me just explain to you. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, she did it at the very beginning. Okay. I'm in Montana. What do you see when you think of Montana? So she's talking to us. There was a place where she did it. And then she did it again. Let me tell you about Adrian. She landed a few of her lines so well. It's a little bit inappropriate for me to mention this line in this way, but we're talking about the stories as art and this story as a performance because our narrator told this story without reading. And here when she said, Adrian overdosed, he's dead.
Yeah, I wrote that too. Yeah.
Nothing came after that line for like a few beats. And I felt it so hard. Like she let it land. I felt it. And then she said, I start to scream. And that was just a gorgeous delivery I mean, I feel like she was just really, really in the story, which is what we tell our storytellers to try to do as best as they can.
Right at that same moment, she sort of steps out and slows down by talking about what's going on around and the mosquitoes. And she gives us a second to let it settle. That is the art of storytelling right there.
That's both the pacing and the writing. And in that moment, she nailed both. God, I was so impressed.
And then right after that, she does exactly what I love in a story. And I always say this, we get a little bit of backstory about Adrian. Like we want to hear about them. Right then, we get like what their relationship was like, their friendship. We get all that stuff about the stealing the meat, the painting the portraits. I just thought that was so good. We see like these people in action. I mean, she's not painting him as this great, positive, like perfect guy. She's saying like this guy was fucked up and we loved him. Like we were all fucked up and we loved it. And then she says, once in my mid-20s, she drops us into a scene with the egg and how he made it and how he cut everything and how he was so artistic. So there was like this contrast to stealing meat, you know, it was so good. And then she says, I resent him for dying.
I thought that in that backstory section, what she was doing was she was seeing the beauty in the ordinary. Like she was giving us such specific details, like this ordinary egg that he turned into fine art. Like she was showing us how she started to see the way he saw.
Yeah. And maybe even setting up the story that she's learning from him, that he taught her.
Right. That's what I thought she was doing. Really artfully. Cool. Mm-hmm. Wow. I thought also, so she said, we all heard it. I forgot my line.
Yeah. That was so good.
Remember during the show, like, or in rehearsal, people would like look to me like I'm supposed to remember their line.
Yeah. But there was a moment in the show you forgot your line too. And it was the best part. Like when people do that, like you forget where you're going. It's like sometimes that happens to me when I'm telling a story to a friend, like somebody calls or something jogs my brain. And then I'm like, wait, where was I? So it made it so much better for me that she could just keep going. She didn't panic. She's kind of like, all right, where was I? All right. And then you could tell she practiced. So she kind of got her brain back in order. And I thought that was so good.
Yep. She handled it. Yeah. And I think that when it happened to me and I was the first storyteller, I was for a split second completely panicked. And then I was just like, oh, all right. Whoopsie.
Nobody cares.
No. But what you said to me after and what we're seeing with this narrator is that it's just like a human moment. And so everybody in the audience I just loved her right now. I loved her in the show. And then she just gathered herself and then said, I must be the only person in history who's ever looked at these mosses.
Maybe.
Is she? I mean, it seems like it. Yeah, maybe. And she landed it. Adrian taught me to see it right here in the dirt. See beauty in the dirt. Perfect landing.
And so I care about moss in the dirt now. And I care what happens to it. And I care because I care now about the scientists behind the dirt and the moss. So by telling her story, her very personal story, we see her as a person, a human being, really trying to help the planet and a passion for exactly that. And almost like it's a salvation. And now I don't want to hurt the earth because I don't want to hurt these scientists either.
Like you don't want to trample all over her mosses because you want to keep them nice for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know more about mosses. Like I want to know what, like, so this is story one. Now tell me more about like, what is she seeing? What is she looking at? What are they doing? Tell me about the resilience. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean for our lives? I'm in.
So good.
So good.
Damn, girl. I'm glad she's there at NAU. That's a great place. Anytime somebody tells me they're thinking even remotely about science, I'm like, oh my God, they have this great program. The people are great. Like, I just love them so much. So I feel lucky to be involved even just a little bit. Jasmine Anenberg is a PhD student in the Bowker lab at NAU. So I guess they have different labs based on what you're into, right?
I guess.
Soil, water, climate change. I don't know. This lab's main job is to learn about and restore soil function to areas that have been denigrated by preventing erosion, stimulating nutrient cycling and productivity. So here we're going to learn a little bit. We're manipulating water infiltration. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. Wow. Okay. Just the word crust. She works specifically with biological soil crusts, otherwise known as biocrusts. That's funny. Which is a community of many different organisms living on or within the top. Where was I in science? How did I never learn about any of this stuff? I think I could have been interested.
No, but I definitely see Montana the way she described me seeing it.
Right? Well, anyway, I think all this happened on MPG Ranch, which is near Florence, Montana in the Bitterroot Valley. Well, I hope she can restore them and these biocrusts. So go girl. Thank you for listening. And thank you, Jasmine Anenberg, for sharing your story. Thank you, ECOSS, NAU, Story Collider, and Bruce Hungate and Jane Marks for bringing science to the mainstream. And thank you for including us.
Writing Class Radio is hosted by me, Andrea Askowitz.
And me, Allison Langer.
Audio production by Matt Kundle, Evan Serminski, Chloe Iman Lane, and Aiden Glassy at the Sound Off Media Company. Theme music is by Justina Chandler. There's more Writing Class on our website, including stories we study, editing resources, video classes, writing retreats, and live online classes. If you want to write with us every week, or if you're a business owner, a community activist, a group that needs healing, entrepreneur, scientist, and you want to help your team write better, check out all the classes we offer on our website, writingclassradio.com. Join the community that comes together for instruction, an excuse to write, and the support from other writers. To learn more, go to our website or patreon.com/writingclassradio. A new episode will drop every other Wednesday.
There's no better way to understand ourselves and each other than by writing and sharing our stories. Everyone has a story. What's yours?
Produced and distributed by the Sound Off Media Company.